Salomon X Ultra 3 hiking shoe. And if you have been following this channel for some time, you know that for the 2019 I have selected as the best ultimate survival boot of all the boots that I have reviewed on this channel in 2019. The winner was, yes, Salomon X Ultra 3 midsize. This is, however, the trail running or the hiking shoe, whatever, really pretty much the same thing, version in here. So let's get into it. Is it really that different from the midsize version? Let's find out. If you don't have time to watch the whole review, let me tell you guys, I absolutely love it. It's very comfortable, lightweight. If you want lightweight, if you like speed, this is definitely lighter, of course, than the midsize. True to the size, no problems at all that I have found, no quality issues. If you have time to watch the whole review, let's get straight into it. As some of you already know, this review is specifically for my ultimate survival boot section. Basically, we judge the boots, all of the boots, hiking shoes, based on 8 different criteria, and then we decide if it's a good for survival. Basically, if something bad happened and you had to put on a shoe like this or a boot and walk out of your house and go for miles through different terrains, do different things on the way, run, fight, climb, do whatever might be needed to do to survive. Would this be a good survival shoe? Let's get into it. Criteria number 1, comfort level. And in order to test the comfort level on all of the shoes and boots that I review on this channel, I do a 3-mile run first and then a 5-mile walk right after without any kind of stopping. And let me tell you guys, these I absolutely love whenever it comes to comfort. First of all, one of the most important things and advantages of this particular shoe is, of course, the weight. Let's take a look. This is size 10 and it is only 13.6. Now that is absolutely amazingly impressive. And if you've been watching any of my reviews, I always say that anything under 20 ounce, if you want lightness, if you want to be able for really walk for really as much as you can physically without feeling that weight on your feet, or if you want to be able to run for extended periods of time without being tired from your shoe wear, you have to be looking at something that is at least under 20 ounce. And this is well under 20 ounce. So lightness, absolutely amazing, and definitely it contributes to the comfort level. Now, a few other factors that contribute to the comfort level: flexibility of the bottom sole. As you can see, it is very, very flexible. So you can run properly. In fact, this is, seriously, it's more comfortable than a lot of actual running sneakers that I have tried. Pretty impressive, pretty impressive. Okay, there's another factor that contributes to the comfort level, and that's of course the inner sole. And as you can see here, it's the Ortholite. And Ortholite inner sole is the special inner sole that Salomon, they often use it on a lot of their shoes, on a lot of their boots, and I do like it a lot. It does offer some sufficient amount of impact resistance, right? So if you are running improperly, putting some unnecessary stress on your heel, it transfers to your ankles, it transfers to your knees, not good. So a little bit of extra cushioning here in the heel definitely helps. Pretty good. And of course you can see the heel pad, which also kind of helps. Not much from it. I wish it was a little bit firmer, but still pretty good. And of course the Ortholite itself, the technology is that basically what it does is kills the bacteria, so it doesn't allow for the bacteria to spread. As another little plus right there. But I wanted to also mention here, point out that even when you take out the inner sole, you still have a very nice soft layer of cushioning on the inside of the boot, which is definitely pretty good. So it's not just from the inner sole, which is what in fact most of the times you see in most of the shoes and most of the boots, but there's some extra layer. Okay, another factor that contributes to the comfort level is of course The cushioning that you get from the inside, there isn't really much, but because the material here is very soft and on the inside it has additional layer of fabric, it does feel really good. It does feel very comfortable. So overall, on the comfort level, easily a 10 out of 10 without any problems. I rarely give something a 10 out of 10 on this channel, but here is just everything is perfect. There's enough padding here on the tongue. There is good amount of padding here, although it doesn't touch your, ankle doesn't go up, so it's not really that much big of a deal, but nevertheless, still pretty good. So done with the comfort level. Let's move on to the proofing and protection. Now, you probably have already noticed this label right here. Yes, these are Gore-Tex, so they do have Gore-Tex waterproofing. It is a good technology. Honestly, though, I think it's a little bit overkill on the hiking shoe because there's really not much of the waterproofing you can expect from the shoe. Now, whenever it comes to the mid-size boot, obviously the full-size boot, you have that tall shaft. You can step in a deep puddle and it will, that's where the waterproofing works. Here, however, you only have the lowest point, and of course the tongue here is gusseted at about the same level, actually higher than this right here. And we have about, let's see, about 3.5 inches. So, I mean, if you were stepping in a 1 inch, 2 inch puddle, good. But still, I think it's Gore-Tex a little bit overkill here, just because it adds up to the price quite a lot. And we will talk about the price later, but I think they could have got away with their own Salomon waterproofing technology, which I believe it's called ClimaSense. Something like that. So, regarding the waterproofing, yes, they are waterproof. Regarding the protection now, you do have same exact nice hard piece of rubber right here on the front, which I really do like. I kind of wish it was a little bit higher just to give you a little bit of more area of protection, but again, if you want to go and get more protection, obviously that would add up to the weight, overall weight of the shoe, and here they wanted to save as much weight as possible, so I definitely do understand it, but this is definitely a good plus. Nothing to expect for ankle protection here, obviously, but you do have some nice reinforced heel on the back for extra support and, of course, some protection as well. And, of course, because we have this contra grip outsole, very hard rubber, we will talk about it later, but this obviously adds to the protection from, from the bottom if you step on something sharp. Okay, so done with the proofing and protection. Let's move on to the criteria number 3, quality and the design features. Whenever it comes to Salomon, I reviewed a lot of Salomon shoe wear, probably about 20-30 pairs maybe, and out of 20-30 pairs, I think it was only about 2 or 3 of them that were running a little bit too big, a little bit too small. Not really a huge issue, just something that points out kind of the quality control, but whenever the new shoes come out, usually the manufacturers, they do look at the reviews, at the response, and if they see that a lot of people complain about the sizing, they usually adjust, so not a big deal. But whenever it comes to long-lasting factor of the shoe, I personally have a few Salomon boots that I have used on a lot of different hikes, very different terrains, from mountains to just regular trail hikes here in Florida as well, all of this tropical, including this particular shoe, I mean, it's just overall very well, nicely built shoe to really last. And I have a lot of reviews from much more experienced hikers than I am, just doing some crazy hikes, going the Appalachian Trail and stuff like that, and a lot of them they prefer Salomon, so that just says a lot. Let's talk about the design features. Here I usually talk about the lacing system, and here this is probably the least favorite part of this hiking shoe in my particular case. This is just a personal preference. Some people might like that. I'm not a big fan of this lacing system. I think it is a little bit of a finicky operation, even though it allows for quick get your foot in, tighten, and then lock it in place. What my problem with this system is this extra stuff that you're getting. Now you can tuck it in somehow here, and they actually do send you a kind of like a little sticker that shows you how to tuck it in. I couldn't understand it from the sticker, honestly, but I kind of improvised, and you can. But still, even if you do it like this, even if it's nice and flush, maybe somehow like this, you still have this tripping hazard right here, especially whenever you're running, on a trail, because for example, here we have in Florida woods, we have cypress trees, and they are not they're not one of the most stable trees out there. So most of the times whenever I run through a trail, or just do the hiking, there is quite a few of at least big branches just laying in the middle of the trail. And when you run, it's actually kind of fun. You run and you jump over those branches. But whenever you have in the back of your mind that you have a tripping hazard, it kind of slows you down a bit. Now, in the mid-size version of this, well, in the boot version of this shoe, they do actually have the regular strings with a very cool sensifit technology that kind of wraps your foot around. I absolutely love it. Here you do get that wraparound feeling, and it feels pretty good, but this I'm just really not a fan of. Other than that, as you can see, there are 3 pairs of, it looks like it's a it is a material, right? Material hooks, but Salomon's, they were very smart to implement plastic rings that go inside of these material hooks, which actually does not give any resistance to these strings, which is great. I absolutely, well done, Salomon, with that. Some companies, they do this material hooks and just leave them as material, and they just terrible, honestly terrible. And then we have 1 pair of closed hooks here out of metal, and then of course we have the rings here. Overall, it's pretty good system. Just if you prefer this, you're not gonna mind it. Okay, let's move on to the next criteria. It's criteria number 4, outsole traction and stability. Let's talk about the outsole. And this, I have experience with this outsole. Wow, so much experience with this outsole. I mean, I took it through so many different places, and it just handles great on literally everything. There are quite a few boots out there and shoes that Salomon uses this, or very similar in a way, outsole, basically the pattern itself. I absolutely love it. It's just so good, and it really has to do with the balance between the aggression and flatness. If you look at it kind of this way, it's really flat. The grooves, the pattern is not too long. It doesn't stick out in any way, and there's a lot of flatness in here. So whenever you're walking or running through a sandy surface, you don't dig into the sand. You don't get stuck. Nothing gets stuck in the outsole, which honestly is terrible. If you're running through a sandy surface, a wet sand, especially a little bit wet, which there's a lot in Florida here on Florida trail surfaces, it gets stuck in the grooves and it just kills it. That's it. First of all, it makes it slippery, and then it also adds weight. So now you have your light 13-ounce shoe that becomes all of a sudden 25-ounce just because of all the sand that is stuck. Not the case here because of this flatness. But at the same time, because there's very sufficient amount of aggression, if you look at it from this, from this angle, and as you can see, the pattern goes this way and this way, both ways, kind of on, if to give you a good comparison, on automatic, I'm trying to find the right, kind of like a car tire. You will find a similar pattern on the car tire as well. It kind of both ways groove, so if you're going forward, going backwards, still have the same amount of traction, amount of grip. The same idea pretty much here, and really it definitely does work. Honestly, easily can be in the top 3, I wanted to say 5, but top 3 best outsole patterns of all the boots that I have reviewed on this channel. I absolutely love it. 10 out of 10. Whenever it comes to the outsole, this is right here. 10 out of 10. Okay, so let's move on to the next criterion, which is criterion number 5, temperature. Now, obviously, I wouldn't recommend this shoe for colder temperatures. It's not insulated. Yes, it does have waterproofing, but you know, if you're considering it for snowy situations, obviously there's not much. If a snow gets in, which it probably will, that's it. You know, no point from your waterproofing here. That's another reason why I think Gore-Tex here is an overkill. But here in Florida, testing it in 100 degrees weather, walking through the trail for about, I don't know, I got lost in the wood. I always do. My GPS is bad, but walking through the 95, 100 degrees weather all day, it was just, it didn't overheat at all, and my feet were not sweating at all in this shoe. So definitely light and breathable. And this is one of the benefits of the Gore-Tex, even though it is waterproof, which a lot of waterproof boots, they tend to be on the warmer side. This is not the case. They are still very breathable. Good stuff. Okay, let's move on to the criteria number 6, sizing, really quickly. No problems with the sizing. I always recommend during my hiking shoes and hiking boot reviews, really any kind of boot, to get a half a size bigger than your normal shoe size. That allows you for a little bit of that extra space that can be very helpful whenever you're going downhill. Remember guys, listen, you're gonna thank me. Whenever you're going downhill, if you do have a little bit of extra space, you're gonna remember my words. Because I remember these words every single time. My friend, much more experienced hiker, he told me, he said, listen, half a size bigger than your normal shoe size, that's it. And that definitely works. Let's move on to the criteria number 7, balance of application. This is where we basically conclude the survival ability of the shoe or the boot. I think it's a great option for people like myself who prefer the lightness, who prefer the speed, no restriction of the movement, who just want to be able to run for miles and miles and just walk practically non-stop. You can wear these shoes literally for days straight and not have any discomfort and not feel like, you know, I'm so tired of wearing something on my feet, I want to take it off. No, this is not the case. You can wear it non-stop, and that's really a huge plus for survival. Another huge plus for survival is this lacing system. Even though I don't like it, even though in my opinion, don't get offended. If you do like it, it's, you know, it's fine. It's personal preference. But in my opinion, this is a tripping hazard. If you, however you put it, it still hangs out here. Maybe there's a better way to tighten it. Let me know, guys. I will implement. Definitely, but I think this is a tripping hazard. Although it's very easy and fast to put it in and take it off, and I think that's a huge plus whenever it comes to survival. Definitely, the outsole handles any kind of surface, literally any kind of surface. I test all my shoes and boots on, let's see, older asphalt, newer tarmac, wet sand, dry sand, trail surface, obviously. Where the rocky road, wet grass, dry grass, and then the flat surfaces like tile and marble, and this can handle literally anything. And some of my winter boots I also test in the snow and ice, because I do travel around, hike around different places, so I try to get those there. This, of course, I wouldn't test in the ice or snow because really it's not very ice and snow. Although the same exact outsole I have tested in my mid-size Salomon X Ultra 3 GTX, and it without any problems, ice and snow. Now ice, there isn't really a lot of stuff that can handle ice. Most of the times for straight up ice walking, I recommend getting external spikes anyway, but this outsole, the best it can be. The same exact outsole I have tested in my mid-size Salomon X Ultra 3 GTX, and it without any problems, ice and snow. Now ice, there isn't really a lot of stuff that can handle ice. Most of the times for straight up ice walking, I recommend getting external spikes anyway, but this outsole, the best it can be. The same exact outsole I have tested in my mid-size Salomon X Ultra 3 GTX, and it without any problems, ice and snow. Now ice, there isn't really a lot of stuff that can handle ice. most of the times for straight up ice walking, I recommend getting external spikes anyway. But this outsole, the best it can be. The same exact outsole I have tested in my midsize Salomon X Ultra 3 GTX, and it without any problems, ice and snow. Now ice, there isn't really a lot of stuff that can handle ice. Most of the times for straight up ice walking, I recommend getting external spikes anyway. But this outsole, the best it can be. The same exact outsole I have tested in my midsize Salomon X Ultra 3 GTX, and it without any problems, ice and snow. Now ice, there isn't really a lot of stuff that can handle ice. Most of the times for straight up ice walking, I recommend getting external spikes anyway. But this outsole, the best it can be. The same exact outsole I have tested in my midsize Salomon X Ultra 3 GTX, and it without any problems, ice and snow. Now ice, there isn't really a lot of stuff that can handle ice. Most of the times for straight up ice walking, I recommend getting external spikes anyway. But